Greetings and welcome to the Disciples of Revan. I'm your host, Lord Gaius, and here's my co-host, Lord Travius. Say hi, Lord Travius.
Greetings. Welcome to the Drunken Hut.
You don't have to stroke it. Well, Travius, we got our first picture of the Mandalorian.
Yes, we did. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's identical almost to the 1313.
Oh, you mean the video game that Lucasfilm was going to come out with and was cancelled when Disney took over Lucasfilm, which sucks because I was actually looking forward to that game.
Yeah, it looks pretty awesome, but no, Disney streaming service starts 2019 and they need a big project for it, and this would be it.
Well, it's good to finally get a live-action Star Wars series, which was kind of promised to us ever since Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, Lucas had been going on about it for a while. It's going to be run by Jon Favreau, which I really like. He's pretty accomplished. You know, did Iron Man, and Iron Man 2, all these other cool movies. And they listed the directors off too. So we're getting Dave Filoni, Rick Famuyiwa. I can't say that.
You can't say that name. Sorry.
Deborah Chow. I didn't even know who she was, but she's on a lot of TV, like Jessica Jones and Iron Fist. Bryce Dallas Howard, daughter of Ron Howard.
Interesting.
So, I mean, it's in her blood, but she hasn't done too much directing, mostly shorts. And then Filoni comes back, and they all kind of repeat, but it ends with Taika Waititi, which is pretty exciting, considering what he did in Thor Ragnarok.
Oh yes, Thor Ragnarok. Yes. Okay.
But no, this is set after Episode 6, The Fall of the Empire, but before the First Order.
Yeah, so that's interesting to me because a lot of this, again, we go back to the EU, is explained through the books and the comics and everything, which I'm a huge fan of. So 3 years after Return of the Jedi, it's a fledgling new republic. The Remnants of the Empire, we like that name, the Remnants of the Empire.
I love the name, the Remnants of the Empire.
So they're out there, there'll be warlords, there'll be fractional splinter groups within the old empire.
To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not simply their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art.
Grand Admiral Thrawn.
So it's taking place in the Outer Rim, away from the Republic, which will, keep those pesky Jedi away.
Well, the thing is, though, there are no Jedi.
There's Luke.
Well,
and whoever he trains.
Well, and I'm assuming this is going to be pre-Academy or whenever he had the issue with Kylo Ren.
Well, I have a feeling that Leia and Han get it on Endor, so I mean...
Well, maybe they had several children and some of them passed away prior to Kylo Ren being born.
Yeah.
Well, think about it. How old's Kylo Ren in Force Awakens?
Are you telling me I can't see Kyle Katarn?
You might see Kyle Katarn. How old's Kylo Ren in
I have a feeling he'll be 2 years old by the time we get to the 3 years after the fall of the Empire.
No, because I bet you he's in his early 20s in the Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah.
So that means it's 30 years between Return of the Jedi and the Force Awakens, so that means he's not born yet. Anyway, that's just another theory. But anyway, so 3 years after Return of the Jedi, fledgling the Republic, the underworld is, power vacuum and all that stuff. So we're going to see, I think, a lot of stuff that more seedy, more gritty, more like a Rogue One type thing, I feel, on this live-action Star Wars.
Yeah, that would be nice. I really like that Filoni's attached to this because he's kind of the expert in doing Clone Wars and doing Rebels. And man, I still love that storyline with Obi-Wan and Satine.
I never planned on killing you, but I will make you share my pain, Kenobi.
You just want Obi-Wan to get laid, that's all.
Well, we all want Obi-Wan to get laid.
You wish you were Obi-Wan.
Yes, except for that terrible ending for him, but it's just turned into dirty laundry. Even Satine's sister, Bo-Katan, could show up in this, and she could be played by the person that voiced her, Katie Sackhoff.
Well, you gotta remember, though, too, because the Clone Wars... Was she in Rebels?
Yeah, she showed up. I believe... I forget her name, because Rebels was a little bit wearing on me, but they gave her the dark saber.
No. The one in Rebels was Sabine.
Yeah, Sabine was the girl, but they gave Bo-Katan the dark saber, I believe. Which was Satiel's sister. Okay.
Bo-Katan was made regent by the Jedi before the end of the Clone War. She's still seen by many as Mandalore's rightful ruler.
I accept this sword for my sister. for my clan and for all of Mandalore.
I never watched Rebels, so I really have to get caught up on that. But I did read a lot of the background story in The Mandalorian. So there's two different sides of the Mandalorian backstory now. You got the legends, and you got the new canon. Now, a lot of them is similar, and they cross back and forth. But there's a lot of differences with what you said, Dave Filoni and everything that they designed for Clone Wars. So it's going to be, well, obviously they're going to go with the canon, but they've added all these elements from the expanding universe already that have already been passed. So, you know, there's a good chance that they'll probably do the same thing here.
Well, that's the thing. We haven't seen too much canon-wise other than the cartoons. So a lot of viewers that just watch the movies know shit all about the Mandalorians other than Jango and Bobo.
Well, I mean, look at what they just did with Solo, adding Darth Maul at the end. And the only reason that we know that Darth Maul is there is because of the stuff that he did in the Clone Wars and in the Rebels cartoons.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see. You know, I've enjoyed the Rebels in the Old Republic video games. The Knights of the Old Republic, like,
oh, I know,
they go into great detail with that.
I went through my Old Republic book, and there's a whole bunch of stuff about the Mandalorians here and where they came from. I mean, we can go back, we can talk about this forever, where they came from, their origins. But traditionally, the Mandalorians were a nomadic warrior caste type culture, and they're not an alien species per se, but they are a ethno-linguistic cultural group, which allows other people to join as long as they follow the code of Mandalore. So it's interesting though, because, you know, predominantly Mandalorians are human, but aliens, actually they originally came from an alien species that have origins on Coruscant, so if you believe the lore.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably never get this far, but you know, Legends tells us that Boba Fett does become Mandalore. He even has a daughter, and he trains Jaina to fight Sidious.
Sidious, which is Jason Solo, her brother, and she ends up killing him for those. Spoiler alert. I
wanna be there when he comes up with that name.
Why?
And it's just like, I think I'll call myself Darth Sidious.
But it starts with a C.
Yeah. Also for Jango in Legends after the Battle of Geonosis, well, he still doesn't have his head. Yeah, that kind of happens. Legends give us nothing more there.
No.
He does have a bit of a backstory, though.
He does, and a lot of it, if you look into the lore, it goes back to the true Mandalorians, the new Mandalorians, and Death Watch. So they have all these factional groups. The one they've gone with the canon is Death Watch, obviously, and they also have the new Mandalorians, which is run by, what in the Clone Wars was run by Satine and the Duchess of Mandalore. So the Death Watch was opposed to the pacifist ways of the new Mandalorians, and then prior to that there was another factional group called the True Mandalorians, who Jasper Muriel was the leader of that group, and that's the person that basically fathered Jango Fett after his parents were killed on Concord Dawn. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff that they have added, but what they're going to use in this new series is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we got a history of the Mandos working with the Sith Empire, with the Jedi. They're pretty much soldiers for hire.
Soldiers for hire, exactly. Yeah. And then they, to me, and I don't, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, they seem like the Klingons of this universe, a warrior kind of caste society that believe in honor and tradition and combat as their primary virtues.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a lot of cheating ones.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. But I mean, that's, you know what I mean though, right? That's their kind of traditional thing, the Klingons in this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of them became bounty hunters, and once you bring in profit, the honor goes out the window.
Well, and that's the thing though, because a lot of them didn't agree with the new, according to the new canon, a lot of them didn't agree with the new Mandalorian way, where it's a more pacifist society. A lot of people broke off and became the mercenaries, the guns for hire, the bounty hunters, because that's what they were good at. These people were trained combat warriors that were able to go out in the galaxy, and they were feared. They were renowned. You see Mandalorian armor, it sends a shock of fear in the opponent's eyes, right? So.
There was some casting news. John Leguizamo apparently, and The rumor is also Pedro Pascal. Both of them I wouldn't say are confirmed yet, but I'm pretty excited if Pedro Pascal becomes the main guy. I mean, he was pretty awesome as Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, we'll get you past that first season.
So I feel, Lord Gaius, that the story where they can add in this timeline is quite interesting. Like we mentioned before, it's kind of a lawless time with the transition between the Empire and the New Republic, and especially in the Outer Rim where there's a lot of, you know, crime syndicates and Black Sun and the Hutt Orc gangs and everything like that. So perhaps this is about a gun for hire, or perhaps this is more about, like, you know, what happened to the Mandalorian way, and maybe this guy's searching for something. The Mandalorian leader is, for those who don't know, is called the Mandalore, and that person is in charge of the Mandalorian people. So maybe this is just, you know, kind of a setup for reviving the
Mandalore's title.
Yeah, the Mandalore's title and the culture itself, because after the Clone Wars and in the reign of the Empire, Mandalore became under the control of the Empire, which the Empire used as, you know, combat for hire, that sort of thing. So it's a good chance now that the Empire is defeated that he's trying to resurrect the Mandalorian way. So you never know. There's a lot of possibilities here.
Well, the little bit that I saw in Rebels was you saw the Mandalorians working for the Empire, but then you also saw Sabine, like, trying to convince some of them not to, and she did have, like, a little group going with her.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yes, exactly, because she fought inside the Rebels, right? So I think that, you know, the honor and tradition that the Mandalorians expose is, you know, that'll become forefront here, and that maybe that, you know, this is something they want to do. They want to resurrect their society and maybe even help the New Republic. But I kind of see that they're kind of want to be left alone, because they've always been kind of an isolationist type of society themselves. So
yeah, I don't see them starting up a series about a Mandalore and then, like, him not becoming the most important Mandalorian. Because it's like, yeah, you could tell a kind of side story, but, like, if he doesn't become important, then, you know, what was the point of your story?
Exactly, yeah.
You could definitely bring back some people. Do you think they're gonna?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, at this point, yeah, Han, Leia, and Luke, they're starting the New Republic. Luke's supposed to be training a Jedi Academy, or training new Jedi. They said that they probably weren't, but there's a good possibility that they could even have, like, a cameo of Boba Fett, because he would be around for that time. Whether or not they bring back Fett and Slave One, you know, who knows, right? It could be.
You're really assuming that he crawled out of that Sarlacc pit. It's too much storyline for them not to bring him back that they've done in the EU.
And he's too popular not to bring back.
Yeah,
he's way too popular. He's one of probably the most popular characters there is in Star Wars. You know, so
that's the thing. A lot of people shy and be like, "Oh, I don't want a Boba Fett movie." But, like, when you think of all the, like, story they have for Boba Fett, they could tell a trilogy of great movies.
I think they could have. Well, look what they did. They made up characters for Rogue One, and look how well that was received. And Solo, well, we'll talk about that later. But you know, you could do a Boba Fett movie, but the problem is that, again, you know, Disney is a little bit gun shy about these standalones now because of what happened to Solo. So, but I think this live action TV series, you have the potential to bring back characters and incorporate things. Obviously, you'll see stormtroopers and the rebellion or whatever like that. You can also bring back people that, if it's like a Mandalorian, you can bring back some of the old bounty hunters from the actual, like, Bosk and Forlom and IG-88. Well, Aura Singh is dead, apparently. But, you know, there's a lot of other potential there. And there's a lot of bounty hunters. Dengar, I mean, all these bounty hunters that were in The Empire Strikes Back and they were never heard from again. So I think that would be cool if they brought back, like, fringe characters like that.
Reward for the one who finds the Millennium Falcon. You are free to use any methods necessary, but I want them alive. No disintegration.
So one of the things I think some people have to realize, though, too, is that the Mandalorian culture has been, well, already kind of integrated into the Star Wars galaxy. The clone troopers, a lot of them, although they are obviously a genetic template of Jango Fett, a lot of them were trained by Mandalorians that Fett recruited himself and trained the clone troopers to hand-to-hand combat. The ARC troopers were, like, the Advanced Recon commandos, were hand-picked and trained separately from the rest of the clones as the elite of the elite, right? And so a lot of the stuff that the clone troopers, the combat styles, their weapon trees and everything like that, is from the Mandalorian culture. In fact, if you read some of the books, there's a lot of Mandalorian language that they will say in battle, like battle cries they'll say in Mando, because of the influence that the Mandalorians has had in the clones. Which is funny because now you look at it and now the clones become the Empire, so it's like the Mandalorian culture really is widespread throughout the Star Wars galaxy. So it's very interesting how they did that.
It is. Well, I think that's all we have. Do you have anything else?
I have one more thing. As they say in Mandalorian, today is a good day for someone else to die.
That's cheerful.
Where is she? Hatish Uraru Jatesha Oresol Aruik Nuha.